Hi, and welcome. Joanna Turner here, and I am back going live again today because I asked in my newsletter list what people's number one business and life issue was. So I got a bunch of replies back, and I wanted to answer everybody's questions with a Facebook Live. And there were too many questions to do in one hit. So yesterday we answered a bunch of questions about changing from the time for money business model. What else did we share? Not being salesy, and a whole bunch of other things. So today, hey Lika, lovely to have you on. I love it. So today we're going to be answering a different question. If you don't know me, I'm Joanna Turner. I'm a business and success mentor. I also help people clear the money blocks and create more abundance in their life. And at the moment we are in the last few days of enrollment of Abundance Alchemy, so you can check that out at joannaturner.com, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that later on as well. So I want to read you the question that I got sent from this lovely lady in my newsletter list. So she asks me, she said, my block is trusting there are people out there that want my unique gifts and abilities. I believe I am a channel for divine healing and do energetic body work. I struggle with putting myself out there using my divine connection because many people won't get it. In my head, I realize that those that need me will find me, but I hesitate to change my website from a traditional model for healing to what my heart and soul truly is. All right. So can anybody identify with that? I know I certainly can. And I think it's something that is prevalent in the community, in this entrepreneurial community, and wider than that. So I'm going to talk, there's a few points I want to make. I've just added another one that just popped into my head. So there's a whole bunch of reasons for her feeling like this. And there's a whole bunch of really beautiful ways that we can shift and change and really start to feel into our unique abilities. So if you're here live, let me know, say hi, let me know where you're at. And if you have any further questions about this or you want to know more, pop comments in the chat box, and I will, if you're watching the replay, I'll also come back and answer them, right? Because oh my goodness, we did our orientation call yesterday for Abundance Alchemy, and I got so passionate and emotional about the fact that we need to be living our soul's purpose. So it really breaks my heart when people are not following their soul's purpose. Like, it really, really bothers me because I know that we have that niggle and that little thing that's trying to get our attention, right? And you can feel it in your body. It's like this discomfort, a dis-ease in a sense of not being comfortable where you are and knowing that there's more and knowing that you need to express more. And when that's in there, it's not going away, right? I think it's here to stay. It's trying to get your attention, right? And so this lady that messaged me, she knows it's trying to get her attention. It's already started. If she's already doing energetic body work, it's like going, hello, hello. So if that thing inside of you is screaming hello, we've got to start listening to it, because the more we ignore it, it starts out as this whisper, and then it gets louder, and then it gets louder, and then you end up in a freaking accident or something. You get sick or something happens because it's trying to get your attention. And I ended up I had a back injury because I wasn't listening, and it was the only thing that stopped me in my tracks finally to be like, hello, life isn't working, you need to do something different. So I'm so passionate about this because I don't want you to end up with a sick or with a back injury or with some other crazy thing that happens to you to just get your freaking attention. I know friends and clients and other people in this industry who have had extreme wake-up calls, and I would love this message to be your wake-up call, so you don't have to go to those extremes. We don't have to be taken to our knees to get the learning, right? Get the learning here now today. It's coming at you, right? That's why I'm here. So you don't have to go to those extremes. And if you hear that, that call, it's not going anywhere. It's not going to shut up. It's, if you ignore it and push it down and suppress it for a little bit longer, it's not going anywhere. So let's honor it. Let's listen. And I'm going to run through a few pointers for this lady that might help her embrace her divine spiritual gifts and abilities that she knows she has. And I'm a firm believer as well that we are all intuitive. I work through the Akashic records, and I channel information through the Akashic records, but I also know I'm good at it, but it's because I've opened my intuitive abilities and I listen, and I'm able to trust that message coming through. But I believe we all have that ability. We're all intuitive. We all know when we've not followed our intuition and it hasn't worked out, right? Like, I've had clients had to go through a process of forgiving themselves for not following their intuition because they knew that they shouldn't do the thing, or they knew they should do the thing and they didn't listen. And then years later, they're still kicking themselves because they didn't listen to that little voice, because that little voice knows the answer, right? So we also want to trust it, so you're not having to forgive yourself years down the line for not following that beautiful divine intuition and wisdom that we all have. Now, I think we all have psychic abilities, right? We're energetic bodies, and it's whether we want to open up to them or not, and whether we want to become a clear channel for allowing that through. For me, one of the biggest changes in my life was working with the Akashic records. And at the beginning, I didn't trust it. I didn't trust myself. I was really questioning it. It was very slow, and I waited, and I was like, I would hear a word and I'm like, is that what that means? And I didn't quite trust the messages that were coming through for me. And one of the biggest gifts in my life was the fact that in the first 30 days, when you learn that skill, they want you to just do free sessions. You're not allowed to charge for your readings in the first 30 days. And I put a post on Facebook and I said, hey, I can't charge for this. It's my new thing. I want to practice and get really good. Here's a link to my diary if you want a free session. And I was instantly booked out. People were fighting for spots. I was getting messages from people being like, I was in the middle of booking and then there's no things available anymore. And it was just an absolute hoo-ha. So I opened up some more spaces, and I did about 60 free readings in 1 month. And while it was energetically, as I was getting used to these new abilities and bringing through this energy, it was quite tiring for me. It's less emotionally exhaustive and energetically intensive for me now. But as I was doing that, the beautiful gift I got in all of that, apart from seeing these beautiful transformations, was that it opened up. The channel just opened up, and I could fully trust and just speak. So instead of having to question, I just trusted and I let it out. And it was never wrong. So I never guarantee it, because if it doesn't resonate, that's fine. But it's never been wrong, because it's just truth. It's pure truth. It's your truth. And it's in there. And when you hear your own truth, it resonates. It might give you a little, it might be a little bit difficult to land, but you never get more than you are ready to hear. So, we're given as much as we're able and willing and open enough to handle. So your intuitive gifts are in there if you are willing and able to open up to them. But anyway, we digress. So coming back to owning these abilities and allowing them to come through, and I'm going to talk about a few different reasons that they might be blocked and reasons why we need to open up to them. So the first thing is, while I'm not an astrologer, the astrology at the moment is incredibly powerful, and we're in a space in time where we're actually being called to use our gifts. I did a workshop a couple of weeks ago, and the Chiron, the wounded healer, was very strong in that workshop. Oh, and it's 11:11 a.m., which is exciting. And this wounded healer energy has been coming through, asking us to heal these parts, asking us to bring through our unique abilities and gifts. And there's just this beautiful, sort of astrological time in history that's allowing us to explore this and to really tune in and to open up to our gifts. So if you're feeling that, the reason I feel like that question came through in the emails is because she's feeling that tug and that pull, because we're all sort of in this space of being asked to step into those abilities and those gifts. And I believe that there's some of us are on the planet right now that we've been born in this time, literally to help heal the planet, to raise the vibration. That's my big mission in the world, is to raise the vibration. And I believe that we've been called at this time in history to be incarnated and to be here in this moment, to bring these gifts through to help other people and to heal the world. So I think there's just a beautiful energy right now, and we're literally being called to step into this. The other part, there's some pieces of this, right? One, I fully believe that if she's concerned about other people judging or not understanding her abilities, I actually think it doesn't really matter what other people think, right? And it's easy to say that, but this is going to be about her and you potentially accepting your own unique abilities and gifts. Because I believe in all areas of our life, as soon as you stop judging yourself, then other people don't reflect it back to you. So I believe that she can get really comfortable with her own, like, she's not going to get the pushback from other people if she's comfortable and secure in her own abilities. So when you are like super confident and secure, people aren't going to be questioning it. They're going to trust you, and they're going to be looking for that help and support rather than questioning it. I often have people, they're like, oh, I don't know if I'm qualified enough and I feel like a fraud, or maybe I should go out and get another certification. And while I'm a big fan of getting proper training and certifications, I believe this lady already has enough. She has that inner wisdom. She has the knowledge that she can already put out into the world. So this is probably not the case for another certification. Sometimes I'm like, hey, if you're really nervous, go get some more training, right? Go do some more practicing. But I think the truth here is about her accepting her own abilities and gifts, and then it won't be reflected back. So if somebody is particularly worried about being a fraud or being seen as a fraud or being judged, it usually shows up more and more. They're the type of people that people will ask, hey, what is your certification, right? I personally have never been asked to prove my certifications, to prove what I've done and who I am. Like, I have all the certificates if you need to see them, but nobody's ever asked me. And I think that's because I own it, and I'm like, I just know this stuff. This is my thing, right? Like, I don't need to prove to anybody that that's my thing, right? So if you are certain in your stuff, you're not going to get that stuff reflected back. Now, that might sound easier than easier said than done, right? Like, it might be easier said than done to just accept your unique abilities and gifts. Now, what I'm also seeing at the moment is a lot of entrepreneurs, and they've maybe started out as business coaches or designers or branding experts or whatever that is, but they know that there is a deeper spiritual meaning in their work. And I believe that most of the people that are out there doing big, big things in the world, you don't get to do big, big things in the world without developing yourself, your personal development, and without a deep spiritual connection. And a lot of the people that are out there, while they might be teaching a 6-figure formula to this, or how to grow this, this, and this with video or whatever that is, they're not, the secret to their actual success is that they've been developing their spiritual gifts behind the scenes. And while that might not be what they're selling, it's been an integral part in their ability to be able to grow and to hold more and to be more and to hold a higher vibration. So what I'm also seeing is, and people that have started out as maybe a business coach, they're things aren't working anymore. And they're like, I know that there's this deeper spiritual message. I know I'm a spiritual teacher. I know I have to bring this stuff out into the world, but I'm so scared. One girl I'm thinking of in particular, she's just terrified of being judged. She's come from a very corporate background, very much like me. I used to be an accountant. And so this stuff seems foreign and it seems crazy. And we're so scared of judgment. And often the people that are these spiritual teachers and they have these gifts that need to come forward, they hide because they're terrified of being seen and terrified of being judged. And sometimes, and so for people with these skills, they're terrified of being visible, right? So, I mean, then there's the whole thing about receiving money for spiritual gifts. So we'll get into that in a second. But they're terrified of being visible because literally in the past, it's not been safe to have intuitive gifts. So what I'm talking about is the witch wound. The witch wound is something in the past. We are now in a time where the divine feminine is rising. The goddess is coming out. There's more feminine leadership coming through. And there's a real need for the intuitive, the wisdom, and that beautiful divine feminine presence to be coming through. We're literally being called. We've gone from this Piscean patriarchal rule. We're switched into this beautiful Aquarian age astrologically again. And this is what the call is. This is the rising. This is why the Me Too movement has come around. This is why the shame and the murk and the stuff has all been like pulled up. It's coming up to be cleared so as we can step and move into this beautiful age that's different, that's new, that's collaborative. It's not about competition anymore. It's about love and connection and helping each other. But in the past, in this patriarchal age, the feminine and the intuitive gifts have been suppressed, and they have been we've been killed for it. One of my very first experiences in personal development, full stop, was back in 2010. I went to Thailand, and I was trying to figure out my weight. I was trying to figure out my health. And I was like, I will do whatever it takes to figure this out. I was detoxing. I didn't eat for 10 days. I was just, doing juice and colonics. And I was really just trying to figure out my health. And there were all of these different healers at the detox center. And I was like, well, let me just try this stuff. If it's going to help, let me try. So I did some family constellations work, which was incredibly powerful. And then I went to see this guy who does release, energetic release work. And he was also a clairvoyant. So he was like a psychic clairvoyant release guy. Ross, preach. Yes. Yes to the age of love. Yes. I'm so passionate about this stuff. I sign up for this release session, and he comes to my hotel room. We're in Thailand, and I lie on the bed, and he sits next to me and opens up this portal, I guess. And I'm an accountant at this point. I'm still an accountant. I've never done any energy work. I've never heard of a past life. I didn't know anything, right? But I was curious. So I was very curious. And we went through this process, and my body starts moving and shaking, and I'm crying. And what I was experiencing was a past life when I was a witch, and I was burned at the stake for being a witch. And I was like, this is crazy. I really was I was questioning myself. I'm like, am I imagining this? Where has this come from? I don't understand. And at the time, I had a little boy in that life, and he is in this lifetime my father. And in that lifetime, when I was burned at the stake for being a witch, I made some vows. So we can make very strong vows in past lives. And one of my vows was that I will never use my intuitive gifts again because they hurt people, and they hurt the people I love the most. And my little boy in that lifetime was so devastated that he lost his mother that I was like, fuck this, fuck these intuitive skills. They hurt people and they get me killed. It's not safe. And so in this session, this release session, he had me chanting, I release my spiritual healing powers. I release my healing powers. And I'm chanting this over and over again. And in my head, I'm like, dude, I'm an accountant. I really don't see the point in this. Is this going to help me lose weight? Like what? Um, and it was just an incredibly beautiful, powerful moment. I bawled my eyes out, shook, cried, did this chanting and release stuff. And we closed up, and I went back and I was an accountant for another 4 years and forgot all about it. And it hasn't been until more recently that I'm now in doing this intuitive work, using the Akashic records, channeling, doing energy healing and Reiki and reconnection energy and weird and wonderful things with energy, that I'm like, it feels so natural and it feels so easy to me, and I just know it. I just know how to do it and know how to use these skills. And then I joined some dots, and I was like, oh my God, I had to open that. I had to release it. I had to release the pain of being persecuted in the past for using these skills. And when I first started my coaching business, for me, it was like posting a photo, making my Instagram public, creating a Facebook page was so hard. I had so much resistance. It was painful. I was like, oh, but I knew I needed to do it. I knew I needed to like do this work. And so I'd like close my eyes and hit post and be like, oh my God, because my energetic response was that I was going to die. Like somewhere deep in my psyche, I was like, if people find out I'm intuitive and I'm a healer and I was a witch in a past life, they're going to come and kill me, right? That was still part of my programming, and that was part of my my makeup, right? So I've had to do more release work, more past life release work, more accepting of my spirituality and my gifts. And it's not been necessarily a super easy path, but when I realized there was no choice, I have no choice than to do this. And I went back to Thailand 7 years later. And I looked up the same healer, and he's still in Thailand, and he's still doing this release work. And so I booked a session. I was like, I don't know, I need to be here. I need to book a session with this guy. Let's see what happens. And we go back in there again, and he's guiding me. And then I was a Native American medicine man, and I was just in it, and I was in this life, and I was like, whoa, this is weird. This is crazy. And in that lifetime, I was this Native American healer, medicine man. And in my tribe, all of the men had gone off to fight or whatever they'd gone off to do, and left me as a male with my tribe, with the women and children. And the white men came in and killed and tortured my tribe in front of me. And my pregnant wife, I had a little boy, and I had the whole community were basically killed in front of me as this like leader, as this medicine man. And then I was killed last. But in those moments, the decisions I made again were, I can't protect my tribe. I will never have another tribe. It's not safe to love. It's not safe to be loved. I can't protect my family. I will never have children. And I will never use these healing powers because I can't protect people. And I'd made, again, all of these vows, shutting down more of my spiritual healing gifts and my ability to grow and to hold and to help a tribe. And again, more crying and more shaking and more releasing of the trauma. I was like, okay, interesting. No wonder I hated when people talked about tribes. No wonder I didn't want to build a community or had resistance to building a community, because I felt responsible for them. I literally felt this deep responsibility for these people. And in that past life, a couple of my past clients were also in that community. And, there's a karmic resonance, and they came back into this lifetime, and we had to go through this whole process. So there can be this deeper connection. You don't have to believe in past lives to know that it feels terrifying to tell about your spiritual gifts. Also, I had to come out to my family. I literally had a phone conversation with my parents on FaceTime, and I came out as being spiritual. And I was like, look, Mom and Dad, this is what's happening. I'm going to be talking more about this, and these are my beliefs. And my mum was like, oh gosh, darling, well, that's just really not us. And, oh, I don't know about this. And, oh, and, you know, and my mum went into all this fear. She was scared. She was scared. She's like, she doesn't know who I am. She doesn't understand it. And so for me to put myself out there, and potentially with my family not understanding and not getting it, again, it was scary, but again, I had to do it. And it's just because it's different, it's new, they don't understand, they don't get it. So like, I get how scary it is. I get why you would be fearful of not putting yourself out there. Literally, it might feel like you're going to die. But we, I believe, have been called now because it is safe. It is relatively safe now as women to speak our truth, to put yourself out there. You might get a troll or two. But if the more secure and the more knowing you are in yourself, it can't hurt you. It's going to bounce off and you're going to be able to help people. And there's two more pieces to this. One is, if you are in this space of, you know, people won't get it, I guarantee you are in ego, right? You're like worried about yourself. You're like, why people might not understand my gifts and abilities, and what are they going to say? It's about, you're focusing on you right now, right? And often when I'm not perfect, I can get caught up in this stuff too, and I'm like, oh, what if? Guarantee I'm not focused on who I'm here to help. Guaranteed, right? If I'm like, if you switch it around and be like, who am I not helping by not owning my unique gifts and abilities? Who is not getting the transformation that I'm here to give, right? So if you switch that around and it's like, who is waiting for me to claim my shit to help them? Who is waiting for me to give myself permission to fully live my life? And when you do that, and when you can focus on that, everything shifts and changes. I would get emotional. I just even thinking about it this moment, I'm getting emotional just thinking about some of my clients that had I not stepped up, had I not chosen to embrace some of my unique gifts and abilities, they wouldn't have had the shifts and changes. Perhaps maybe they could have gone to somebody else, sure, but like maybe they needed to hear it from me. Maybe they needed that connection from me. And so like, just to think about one shift for one woman, like I just imagining this one woman who like had this but there's so many of them now, like it just blows me away. And when I focus in on that and the gratitude for the shifts and the changes that I've been able to create for people, and sometimes I don't even know about it. I'll get an email out of the blue, but like, hey, you don't know me. Something you said changed my life. And I'm like, oh. So if you focus on that, you're going to get help. It's going to really help you get over yourself. The last piece of the puzzle that I'm going to mention, well, two more things. One, you need to get yourself a coach as soon as possible. Abundance Alchemy is open. You should probably join it. It's all about that, right? Unlocking. Oh, there's two more pieces actually. Two more pieces of the puzzle. I get so passionate. So also, I'm just reading her words, and it says, "In my head, I realize," right? Dead giveaway. She's all up in here, right? She's all up in here. And when she's in her head, that's her masculine energy. She's losing her logic, and our intuitive abilities and wisdom are in our bodies, right? So she's not in her body because she's all up in her head, in the fear and the chatter and the bullshit, right? So she needs to drop into her body to connect with this, right? And this work it's about grounding. It's about releasing the trauma in your body. It's about doing that deep inner healing work around sexual traumas and shame, and using jade eggs and getting into your body and integrating this stuff into her body. You cannot intellectually have divine unique gifts and abilities. Maybe you can, but we've got to get it into our bodies. So if she was in her body and safe and secure in her body, there would be less resistance to using her divine connection. So again, super, super important. The other piece, the last piece of the puzzle is sometimes we don't feel worthy of charging for using our unique divine capabilities and gifts, right? And it's like, oh, well, if I'm not selling business strategy, I can't charge money. It's not divine. Bullshit. This is important work, and it's energetic work, and it is it's truth, and it's powerful, and it's transformational, and it's beautiful, and you should 100% be charging for your unique abilities and gifts, because it's causing other people to have massive shifts and changes in their life if you're allowing yourself to use them. So then there's a whole bunch of shit wrapped around that too, right? So, there's layers and layers and layers to this, right? Like, it's a simple question. I'm like, just go fucking do it. But there's so many layers to this puzzle that, you need to be held accountable. You need to put yourself out there. You need to do it and know every time I closed my eyes and hit the button and thought I was going to die, I didn't, right? I didn't. So it's important. It's important to do it and then realize that nothing bad actually happened. Okay, cool. I can do another one. Take another small step. Move forward again. So it's really, really important to tap into all of these parts of self, your body, your acceptance, healing the wounds, and taking the action and building up your confidence by taking those small action steps. And it becomes less scary. You get in momentum and it's not as bad. And you start to notice that people also, the last piece of this, I keep saying the last piece, there's so many bits of this, people are secretly interested. I have this thing that I've been watching a few people that were just shut off, no way, not happening, spirituality's bullshit. Those people that, the person I used to be, who I was like, I don't know about this crap. I've been watching. And I guarantee you the whole world is waking up. There might be a few people that choose not to or opt out, but the majority of the world is waking up, and they're going to wake up in the next few years. By 2026, 95% of the world will be awake. And so people, even if you think they're going to judge you, they're curious. And I've had my eye on a few really closed off people, and they're starting to ask me questions. They're like, hey, Joe, what's this meditation thing I'm hearing about? Oh, I'm just curious. I've read this book. And they're starting to ask questions. So don't assume that people that you think aren't interested or are going to judge you aren't really seeking and looking for something more too. I believe everybody's like, hang on a second. People are like, I don't actually like my job. I'm not actually feeling fulfilled. I got the car and the house and the job and the husband and I'm still miserable. So there's people, even if you think that they're going to judge you, they're actually desperately seeking this. I think everybody is like looking for this deeper meaning, and people are looking to people that get it for answers. They're like, hey, this weird shit's starting to happen to me. What's going on, right? So people are looking for other people to help them and to guide them through this process, because there's going to be a big ass mass awakening, and they're going to need people like you to use your unique gifts and abilities to guide them through this process, because they're like, what the F is going on, right? So don't assume people aren't secretly interested. They might be judging it too. They might be scared of it. But more often than not, people are curious and looking for something else. Okay, so 2 things. Abundance Alchemy is open. It is a 6-week program diving into all of this stuff. We're doing money blocks and shifts and limiting beliefs and really allowing people to get clarity, to become more visible, to allow in more abundance, to receive more, to dream more, to step into the possibility of their lives and what's available to them. And I'm already being moved by what's happening in the group. Like, one lady today, like my client yesterday, she brought on 2 clients, like, yesterday morning. One lady told her boss that she was handing her notice in this morning. Like, shifts and changes are already happening in that space, and it's just absolutely beautiful. But we don't officially start until Monday. So there's still time to come and join us. This stuff it's important. it's not going away. That little niggle is not going away. You know, there's a whole bunch of stuff we're going to be doing in there. We're doing lots of energy work and healings and tools, and there's live hot seat coaching and some really amazing bonuses. We've got sales training, objection handling training. We're doing tantra and sex magic training. So there's lots and lots in here, and I am so excited. It's just a phenomenal program. I know people get results. I know it's going to be a super powerful summer. And really it's about reclaiming your power, right? Like, I can't teach you anything really, right? You know it already. This is about you uncovering these gifts and allowing yourself to use them and to put yourself out into the world, and to have the impact that you want, to create the freedom, to have the flexibility, because it's all possible. It's all possible. So check out my website, joannaturner.com. I'll pop the link in here in a second. And I also have another training tomorrow happening tomorrow morning. I think it's 8 a.m. Pacific. I'll pop the link in here as well. We'll be diving deeper into a lot of this stuff and why it hasn't happened for you yet. And that's it. If you have any questions to help, pop them in here. You might not agree with some of this stuff. You might be triggered by some of this stuff. Not everybody's into the witchy thing. And that's totally fine. I had a client, I've worked with her for over a year, and I talk about stuff and the mystical stuff and the woo and spirituality, and I just got this message like 2 days ago. She's like, I think I might be a mystic. She's like, I just read a book on it, and I think I need to claim that this is my path too. And I was like, oh, welcome to the club, right? So you don't need to believe in this stuff to get a massive benefit. It might waken up something if you're like resistant to it. There's probably a reason. You should probably come and join us. And I would love to see you there. So thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it. Any questions, pop them in the comments. And yeah, take care. Bye.